Do I hear you?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear us?
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
What up? So this is
What's going on?
this is a really good friend of ours, a mentor of mine, Mr. Gregg Flagg. What's up, Greg?
What's going on, man? How you doing, Paul?
We're just a bunch of hillbillies out here with too much technology.
Yeah.
So we were telling everybody about the fentanyl walk and what's going on, and this is really cool.
It really is, man. It really is.
This community is unique in the way that it has recovery in it.
Yeah.
How did you get started in recovery?
Well, 2012, I've long my whole life battled with addiction, and it chokes me up talking about it right now. My daughter and my son-in-law are going to be here in a little bit, to check out what we've been doing for quite a while, But this addiction hit home for me, man, in 2012. And if you'd asked me then, I was a hard worker. I put my kids through a Christian school. I was a good dad from the outside looking in, but deep down inside, I knew that I just wanted to go one day without drinking, and I couldn't do it. And so I ended up in AA, and process of that, my sponsor, insisted that I might want to help. I might want to help somebody. So he told me that there was a meeting at the Salvation Army that they were beginning in 2013 on Wednesday. And he said to me, and it was the first time I ever heard somebody really say to me, these guys need to hear you. And so I started going to that meeting early 2013 and all the way through COVID. And I was there pretty much every Wednesday. And from that stemmed the New Life House recovery program. A lot of people back then would say Gregg's houses. No, Gregg didn't create these houses. God did through my recovery. That he's the one that got me sober. He was the one that had me do some things that I wasn't really excited about doing.
I wanna just add something, so for those that are listening or seeing this that don't know Gregg, a lot of people will tell you Gregg is a pinnacle of recovery in this community. With his relationship to God and the influence and the love that he has for the people in this town, it has taught me the importance of giving back in service. And I had a really hard time with the spiritual aspect of recovery. And I mean, so much to the point where the people that I would talk to about it, it would almost become violent. I just couldn't open up to the idea of being open-minded to some spiritual principles people would teach. And I called Gregg one day because Gregg, like me, was raised in a very structured but very strict spiritual background. And Gregg said a couple words to me. He says, Paul, the God that you have in heaven's a loving Father that wants what's best for you. And it opened my eyes. And I thank you for that, because today I have a relationship like I've never had with God. And I didn't hear it at church. I heard it from another good old boy that had a drinking problem. And so I just want to tell you, thank you so much for that, man. You've helped so many people in this community all over the world. Who knows who you've reached and touched in so many ways. So it's just really important to me to have you come on here and talk about that, because people need to hear what you have to say.
Yeah. And I mean, it's true, man. I mean, it's crazy how things happen. I've been up in northern Florida a lot. I come back to see my grandkids and my family here, and the houses. And Joel's been doing everybody these houses. They kind of, God does the work, man. And yesterday I went to a meeting and somebody had a bunch of donations, and they said, we're trying to find a place for these coats and jackets that are, they're like polo, unbelievable. They had 90 of them,
and they're almost gone.
They're almost gone. And I was like, God, what do you want me to do with these? And immediately I realized this was God's doing. He wanted me to simply go pick them up and bring them here. That's been the story of these houses, really. I mean, I've gotten calls when starting or leasing a house with somebody just on a whim wanting to donate a bunch of furniture. It's like, how's that happen? Well, because there's a movement. There's a spiritual movement going on. And I know that God has favor on people who want to do something differently in their life.
And I hope there's someone listening that may be thinking about getting sober, or maybe they're a day or two into of being sober and are teetering back and forth on whether or not to stay or go, what would you say to someone that was listening that was in that position as far as, how to navigate these next few days?
I mean, early on for me, I knew that I couldn't stay sober, man. I had gotten to that place. I knew no matter whether I wanted to or not, I was going to continue in the lifestyle that I was. And I had went to church. I had cried out to the pastor. He turned me on to a guy in AA in 2011. And I thought I needed something different than that. And then I was out there for a year and a month after that. And then my wife was really leaving, and then my kids were really like, Dad, we love you, but you can't be here, And somehow, I ended up in AA, and those guys had been sober for 30 plus years. And I didn't like the fact that they hurt my feelings. I didn't like the fact that they told me the truth, but they told me things that I didn't want to hear. But I was in a place to where I knew I had nowhere else to go. And then came the service work, and then I realized what they were talking about. The service work's what sets us free. It's actually, in my mind, I believe it's the reason why we're all here. Is for relationships, Um,
It's so cool to hear you say it like that, because it takes me back to those early days. I remember being in your house, and I was at that point where I had to get a sponsor, and I felt like a college recruit, because there was like so many guys that were like, Chuck was willing to be my sponsor. Oh, Alabama Joe was willing to be my sponsor. And I was sitting at your house. I think we were painting or something, and Tony pulled in the driveway, and you said, "That's your sponsor right there." And I mean, it's really cool to understand. I didn't want to take away from how important the process of development was.
Yeah.
Like I really enjoy the process of developing into a sober, clean man. Like not in Christian man, hardworking, loving person. Like it's steps. It truly is. And it's like as you go, you're kind of shedding all of this bad, negative weight you've been carrying for a long time. And the program you have at New Life really helps promote that. Like it teaches you to be self-sufficient, and learn how, and either you make it or you don't. And I know that may sound brutal, but
either you want it or you don't.
yeah. And if you don't want it, it from the get-go.
Yeah.
And it's for those new guys coming in, or they're struggling, like Greg went over, they're just struggling by themselves. I couldn't do it alone. Reach out to us at New Life House, reach out to Project Access Corp. We have a system in place specifically for men and women in early recovery. And man, look at this place.
Dude, it's insane. It's so wild. As you can see in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, Josh is doing his first haircut of the day for Martika.
Oh, wow.
What about it? It's right there. Yeah. So, but yeah, like there's a ton of people walking around. And not to take too much away, but I really want to thank you, Greg, for taking time to come over here and talk to us. We got to have you on here and just sit down and
Thursday night special.
Yeah, Thursday night special. Because I mean, it's fun to get people on here that have a good personality, a great story. I mean, you're a loving guy. I mean, you're like dad to us,
Yeah.
and I don't want to call you old, but when I
It's
say
okay.
there's a lot of times me and Greg, I'll call Greg just because I need to hear Greg talk, and I don't know if we ever talk about anything.
Well, you said the other day, you said you didn't know that there was a solution. You didn't know that there was a program or programs out there. I felt that way. I went to church and I was using all the resources that I was aware of, which was the church, and but I didn't never really relate with another person that had struggled with addiction the way I did until I went into a recovery community.
I love telling about the first day I came into your house. Joel was there, and I walk in, and I mean, I'm fresh out of jail.
We got the video still.
and Joel was like, "Okay, we're going to go to a meeting. You pick me up."
Yeah.
And the first meeting I ever went to was the Saturday night speaker meeting, and there was a potluck. Right. They had like this annual anniversary. So I walk in and there's like tables full of food. I'm like, oh, I can get down with this.
Yeah.
the next meeting I got taken to was Celebrate Recovery on Sunday night. And so I go in and there's all these people standing and singing. It's like a concert. I'm like, oh, this isn't that bad. And so now I'm like, I have this expectations of what meetings are. And the third meeting I went to was Monday Night Mints, and it was vastly different. And that just kind of built this structure for me, understanding like this is how recovery works. But I had no idea that there was this society of people that could help me stay sober.
Yeah.
Yes, time lapse. Put it on time lapse.
You want to?
You hit the button on the side and then to say photo, video, time lapse. Yeah. So you and Joel and the people in those rooms showed me that there was a solution, that there are people doing this, a lot of them. And so I just shut up and listened and just started doing what everyone else told me to do. And every time I maybe ran into a situation that would cause me to like, question something, I had someone to talk to. And that's what's so great about the program you have over there at New Life, this community as a whole. There's no lack of resources. I mean, if you really want to get clean and sober, there's the only thing it requires is you to show up and say, hey, I need help.
I feel like this recovery, this was a gift. I got a gift of recovery, a gift of life through recovery, a gift of life. This journey is a gift. And that's why our program's called New Life House, because I was given a new life. Joel was given a new life. We were given a new life. For years, I wanted a new life. I couldn't get there. And when God said it was time for a new life, he gave it to me. So, you know, we're just here because we recognize other people that don't know there is resources and there is a way out. So I appreciate you guys so much, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming over here. I'm glad you're in town. It's not the same when you living in a different city.
I'm sure I got a lot more years of service work right here in Sarasota County because I've lived here since 1980 and up until last April when I ventured up north to explore other areas. And it's a beautiful state of Florida, and I'm really grateful you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Go give away some more sweatshirts.
I'm proud of you, man. Yeah. And I was so mad that day when my my sponsor had me pick. My sponsor had me get into a car, and when I opened up the glove box, I was shocked. When I looked in the door panel there, I was shocked.
Yeah. He knocked off some charges.
All I knew was I was going to get some charges if I got pulled over.
Yeah, you would have for sure.
And I was like 8 years sober at that time.
I know. Thank you so much for taking all the evidence away from the police and allowing me to have a shorter sentence and save someone's life.
But that's
because I actually didn't.
and that's how we all met up. We through New Life.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's how Paul met you and ended up in the house. If it wasn't
we
for
were
that.
roommates for a while.
Yeah.
He went out.
Yeah.
Came back. I was out. Came back for one night and junked out. And
I always say for those out there that say, "Oh man, you know they were sober for 2, 3, 4 years and they relapsed," and they say, "Oh man, I got to start over." No, man. You know, I believe in my heart that the relapse can be that catapult to thrust you into permanent recovery. That last week of hell, and if it gets you to be doing this and helping others, you know what a gift that is. So.
Good stuff, man.
Yep.
If you go look in my car, there's a black box.
Yeah,
you gotta get one of these. You got who else you got around here, man?
A lot of people. I mean, we got Kelly. I'm gonna try to get Kelly on here.
Kelly Miller.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see Bob Clucky. I don't know if you guys interviewed him at all.
Console.
In the little, not on a podcast.
Yeah, it's got a battery in it.
But we'll get him.
Well, I'll put the word out. Try to get somebody else over here.
Yeah.
I'm really grateful for you guys, man, and you guys are doing good work. I support everything you guys are doing, man, for real. For the community and everything, and
New Life's gonna do big things around here, man.
We're continuing it, and God willing, you know, I don't know if it will only be in Sarasota. Maybe we'll venture north. You know,
wherever there's a need.
That's up to a power that's greater than all of us. So
I don't know. You know what's wild is. We talked about that, like how I talked about that Friday night at the crossings is how when I got here, there was a lot of people that were still out in the woods of Kissimmee that would reach out to me and they would say, how do I get sober? And I would try to help them. But when I would try to find something in Kissimmee, there were 2 AA meetings a week.
Yeah.
There was one halfway house program that had one house and the beds were always full. And so I realized more than anything, Sarasota's great, but we need to spread this like a virus. I mean, we need it in other towns.
Yeah.
And it's just Florida. There's a whole planet out there that needs to hear about the solution, about the higher power, that there is a way. Like I said, I had no clue.
Right.
I thought AA meetings were funny things they did in movies. But I didn't know that there was a real room of guys sitting around talking about
God.
Yeah.
Talking about God.
Yeah. And
every denomination that you can think of.
Man, when I see, they say, find someone that has what you want. The first time I heard that, I was like, it wasn't just honestly finding someone that had what you want, but it removed my ego. Like before I didn't want anything anybody else says. I was too good for that. Now I'm like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing over here. And the people that have what I want had been through what I was going through. Dave Lyons is one of those. Like
Dave L.
Dave L is an amazing guy. But when you meet him, you would have no idea he had a problem with drinking. This sickness, this disease is not prejudice. It doesn't care if you're rich, poor, spiritual, athletic.
4877.
We're giving out Joel's phone number here.
Yeah.
Next year we should do a thing like where we should do a fundraiser where if you donate enough money, you get to go out on a date with Joel.
Deal. We need all the financial support we can take.
No, you can imagine the line.
I think Joel's got his motives straightened up.
Yeah, right. Well, good deal, man. We're going to be out here till 4 today. If you're watching, please come by, say hi. If you come to the Fentanyl Walk, make sure you go to New Life, get you a sweatshirt, and say hi to Greg, hug his neck.
Yeah. We got helping over 50 men right now. Reach out to us if you know someone in need. Give them our numbers. We're there for you.
Yeah, good guys over there. Great guys.
I love you guys, man.
Love you too, Greg. Thanks for coming on. We got to get you to come on for like an hour one night and Thursday when you're in town.
We'll do it.
All right, brother.
Thank you.
See ya. So we've been getting like these halfway house stories, these recovery home stories. And I'll give you an example. I asked Miranda, I'm like, tell us a good story about a recovery home. She goes, well, the one she told was at 3:00 in the morning. She got a phone call. And some guy had broke into one of her men's houses that was full of 10 felons, thinking he was going to go in and steal some stuff.
Steal the change jar.
Yeah, and come to find out that didn't work out too well, that he left with less than he came with. And then I asked Kelly, and Kelly was telling this story about this guy that snuck out one night, and when the house leader went in to check to make sure he was there, he looked like he was there, but the next morning he came and pulled the covers back, and the guy had made like a dummy.
Yeah.
And snuck out.
Create a pillow and body.
She talked about how like one house leader woke up in the middle of the night, someone was peeing on the entertainment center. What? I know Greg has got to at least have one.
You got a funny one?
Tell us some good stories.
A funny one. Well, I know when Quiff came in, I had a Quiff. He was part of our houses back in when we first started. And I remember the 42nd Street house. He's like, dude, you got to put screws on the back door, man. You got to bolt the back doors. I mean, this house has got the back end. I mean, it's free for all at night for some of these guys, So I had to put screws on the back doors. I did that. But then there was one guy. There's so many, man. You didn't give me a heads up.
It's spontaneous, it's
the first
it's
one.
content.
I know one, and I won't say no names, but I used to go to the first house. I'm not going to say any names because if the person is watching this, he'll know who I'm talking about. But so I'd run every house every night. For the first, I did that every night. I'd run the houses in the morning. I'd run the houses at noon. And then at 10 o'clock at night, I'd go out one more time before I came home, turned on the TV and rest. So this particular night, I get home, I sit down, and I had already ran all the houses. And all of a sudden, something popped in my head, said, you need to go to the dog track house. And I said, no, I just did that, God. I'm just sitting here, And I'm starting to get entertained on TV, and I was that thought, you got to go to the dog track house, dude. So at this time, I know I got to jump up. I go to the dog track house, walk in the front door, and at that time, uh, Michael White was in our house. Anyway, I seen his brother earlier holding his sign,
Yeah.
walking through here. This is real stuff, man. But anyway, so he's all of a sudden, Michael always hung out in his room, right? But this particular night, he's hanging out in the living room. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? Michael, what's going on? And Michael's like, I don't know nothing, man. I don't know nothing. So I go over and I open up the door, and there's another person
Yeah.
was getting ready to
Have sex?
Yeah.
Oh, so there's a female over there.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
And it was already there, it was already almost there. And
You got to go to the dog track house.
So anyway, he knew immediately that he started packing his stuff. And I just said, I'm sorry, hon, but I don't want to see your face, And I left.
Yeah. But you saw her face.
No, I didn't. Actually, I did not. And I'm glad I did.
Good for you, brother.
But it's sad, that's what we do early in recovery. You want to fall in love with some dude in a recovery house, man. I'm sorry.
That was
Some of us are charismatic,
I remember whenever I was in early recovery, that was something Joel that said that stuck with me. He was like, what are you going to do? Tell him, you going to pick him up on your bicycle?
Yeah.
You're dating? You want to tell him you live in a halfway house? That was my best pickup line. It was almost like they thought I was broke, so they were going to fix me.
Yeah. Get on my handlebars, man.
Yeah, come on. We're going to go to Chili's. No, it's there's some wild stories, man. Like, I try to tell people it's like a really messed up frat house. You know what I mean? Like you live in
it's a trap house with no drugs. And
Yeah.
it's just a lot. It ends up being a lot of love that you would not have assumed.
Otherwise, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's just
there's a guy who's doing really well right now. He's actually in healthy habits. I won't say his name, like you said. Well, I was living at Purpose House, and this guy comes in, and he's like gung ho recovery. He was one of those type of guys that was just so like high energy, sweating all the time. I've been to 6 meetings today, that type of guy. And he's
like I used to be, yeah.
Yeah, he was he worked in like tree and like he cut trees, like whatever. He's an arborist. This guy would be 12 o'clock at night in the backyard up the biggest tree, just climbing it because he could. You know what I mean? Like, and there, we would have guys in and out of the house that, they just had really, Tony would say, a peculiar mental twist.
Yeah.
Man. Like, I don't know if it was just the effects of the drugs they used or if it was just how they were, but halfway houses or recovery homes or transitional homes, however you want to call them, will teach you so much patience. Because you have to be willing to accept that everyone is unique in their own way. And we're all just trying to overcome this monstrous demon of alcoholism and addiction. And so it's really easy to look across the room and judge someone based on their character traits. But I feel like if that's how you're living your life, then you're not quite ready to change. You have to be willing to look over and have a sense of compassion and sympathy for people. But also at the same time, be selfish enough to say, hey, I'm worried about my recovery. And in most cases, you meet some good people and make good friends for life. And, and that to me is what I really hope everybody that's in this position gets to experience.
Yeah.
It's a cool, unique experience when you see a guy come in. He's only been clean for like a couple weeks or something. And you can tell right away why that person drank or used. I mean, you can see the characteristics, how they fit in society, and how that was the awkward situation. Was it
This is it.
hat here? Yeah.
Hats. This is
That's
it.
us. Me, Paul, mentor. Andrew's out.
Right down.
What color? What is it?
Right side. This concert only took it. It's gone for 3 hours. I've been everywhere. But I sent it down to get one of those jackets. And
Yeah.
somebody picked it up. Took it.
Yeah. Well, and they sent you to us.
They said you act like I'm getting it.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. We were trying to. Yeah. If you want to reach out to us after after this.
We'll get you our information.
Yeah. Sorry, we didn't know where.
Yeah, I was like, I
going.
don't think anybody set your bag over here, maybe.
No. Saying it looks
Yeah.
like
So you're missing a phone.
Little black shoulder.
Yeah,
So,
we'll keep an eye on that. If you need a phone, we'll help you.
Yeah,
We'll help you get a phone for
We'll
sure.
get with you after this.
Well, actually, do me a favor. Get with Brandon right here. You see this guy right here in the Pirates hat?
Yeah.
Get
Our information.
get his information, and before we leave today, we'll get someone set up to get you a phone. Yeah, that was that's unfortunate. Hey, he lost his stuff. That's what we do. We're the phone guys. We need to get a partnership with like Verizon or Straight Talk or something. Maybe that's God showing us what we can do for this community.
We'll connect you.
I
I mean,
I know of a couple thoughts right now, man. One guy I remember, and I like to talk about success stories, you
for
know?
sure, yeah.
And there's this one guy, Dylan, that was in the house, man, and you know, he came in the house, didn't have anything, didn't have a car, didn't have anything. He got on his bike, man. He'd ride. He rode like 8 miles every morning, man, and like got up at 3:30 in the morning, and he would ride, and he did that for a year, and or longer than I'm not exactly sure how long, but he ended up house leader, and and he was an example to the next guy that came in who was complaining because he didn't have a vehicle or anything. And this guy asked me if he could borrow my bike. And I was like, dude, I got one bicycle that's really nice, man. It's an old style, like 1965, really beautiful bike. And I'll let you use it, but I want it back.
You let me use that bike.
I let you use that same green bike.
I rode it to the gratitude club, and Eric gave me that same talk. You said, I want this bike back.
yeah.
You didn't want me to use it. He was like, man, I got a bike, but I loaned it out one time. Like,
Why do you change our names to Dylan? Is what I was
I
saying.
remember this guy, but there's another guy, Dylan. He was a success story, ended up managing the house, and he does really well now. But then there's a guy, Judd. And Judd ended up using the bike for 9 months. And I'd forgotten about the bike. And all of a sudden I get a phone call. And he's like, hey, Greg, this is Judd. And I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, you can come get your bike now. And he had went and bought another car. And then he had like a goal. It's like why I like to talk about wishes, hopes, and dreams a lot of times because, you know, he had goals. He said to himself that he wanted to have a car in a certain amount of time, then he wanted to have a job and he wanted to be able to continue on, you know, and he ended up having a goal of going out west and getting a job and being like a bird back and forth. Last I knew, he's married and just doing really well for himself. So
I wanted to share this with you, Greg. So for those that don't know, when I first came into recovery and I met Greg would pick me up every day. We would go do all kinds of stuff. And to this day, people still come to me with a lot of their problems, you know, like things that they were experiencing. And it's overwhelming sometimes. Like we talked about this the other day. Like I have to have enough of a boundary to tell people like, okay, I've had enough negative stuff today. Let's talk about something like Brandon usually starts my morning when I take him to work every day talking about his problems. But
Be that outlet for.
as we've like started this nonprofit, I'm new to like helping people. And so it would get so personal to me when we would help someone and then they would go out or they would drink and I would be like, what are you thinking? And I would feel like I was not doing enough. And I felt like there was times where I would learn from you where you would be like, man, I just have to step back and take a break because it's overwhelming. Like it will make you hate helping people if you get it too personal. And you know, what is your advice to a couple young whippersnappers like us that are new in this service work and helping people, like things that we can learn from or maybe paths you've been down that you can warn us about?
I know for me, when I was doing the houses by myself for a really long time, and I had another guy that had told me, he said, I did the houses by myself for a long time and I couldn't do no more. And he ended up getting someone helping him. For me, I had to stay connected, man. I had my own little routine that I did for myself. I noticed Joel has things that he sets apart for himself. I noticed he goes to the gym. He takes that time. He's got a schedule for himself, not only the houses, but he's got a schedule for himself. For me, I had to do that, you know, so not necessarily like the Monday night men's was definitely my home group, but I did a 12 and 12 book meeting for an hour with them old guys every week. And I did a Thursday big book meeting with the old guys every week. And that to me was my grounding. That was my home. That's what kept me grounded. And I could share with those old guys dealing with you young bucks, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Had some outlet there. I had to have my home in recovery. And that to me is the biggest thing. You get a sponsor, you can get a sponsor, but if you don't go to the same meetings every week, that's Joel and I talk the same way. A lot of people say 90 meetings in 90 days. We say, hey, if you go to the same place on a Monday or a Tuesday and a Thursday, the same place, and a Sunday, the same place, 3 days a week, and you get to know those people and they're part of your routine and they're part of your life and you're living life with them, that's what we're looking for, is that quality.
Yeah,
recovery.
he conveys that, and like I didn't even think about it till recently when he brought it up. He's like, "What's the quality of the meeting you're going to? Are you just showing up and sitting through something, or are you actually getting something from it?" And that's huge.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think at the height of my meeting, 90 and 90, if you will, like I had handpicked ones that I enjoyed, not from like a distraction point, but like I enjoyed being at the speaker meeting. I enjoyed being at Monday Night Minutes. I went to YPG a couple times, and hats off, it's a great meeting, but it just wasn't for me. It's like I like the structure of the meetings that I went to, so I stopped going to them. And I remember there was times me and Joel would, like, on a Tuesday would go to the St. Armand's Circle meeting that was way out of the way. Like if I didn't have a rod, I couldn't get to it, but I would go over there and I just enjoyed it. Like it was structured and there were people there that had a lot of recovery. And you mentioned Joel, like how proud are you of this guy?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's unbelievable.
I remember when he got his condo.
What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about, man?
Oh, whoops. Oh, well, that one slipped. Sorry, Joel.
Actually, he mentioned it to me, and I know Joel enough now that he lives his own life and does his thing, and he knows I support him 100% because I believe in what he's doing. And he did mention that was going to happen. He just didn't tell me that it already happened.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So,
well, there's certain things I keep from Gregg because I don't want to overwhelm him, And there's a bunch of stuff, I figured them out. Or
you shouldn't have said there's a bunch of stuff.
Well, I mean, stuff that probably doesn't need his attention, but I know he'd go all in on it.
Let me say this from a position where there are programs in town that when people need help, I can suggest. I know the quality of program that Joel runs for New Life. It is top notch. It is one of those programs that if you know someone needs a rule-based program, then you know where to send them.
Right.
But if you know someone that's real independent and they're passionate about what they want to do, I know to send them to Joel because Joel's going to say, "Listen, sink or swim, buddy," and he's going to be there to help you no matter what. But he puts that sense of quality behind the recovery. I'm so proud of him. Like that New Life develops men, godly men that really want to help people. And that's what's really cool about New Life, man.
Well, there's a tie somehow to the scripture. It talks too about new life. Having new life. And I believe so. This motion is so much bigger than any of us. When I was going to the Salvation Army all the time, people would talk about Gregg's house. It's Gregg's houses. And I said, dude, no, this is not Gregg's house. This is New Life.
Yeah.
This didn't come from me. And somebody came up to me earlier today that I knew from 5 years ago. And he said to me, he says, dude, I was talking to some of your guys from New Life. And he said, hey, how's your Gregg's house? The guy said, no, I'm at New Life. And he said, well, what about Gregg? And the guy said, well, I don't even know Gregg. And I said, good. You're living a new life. Hopefully you're getting directed towards a new life.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Because, like, I don't know. It's so funny to think that you distance yourself that much. I never thought that was possible.
I know because I've been intertwined for so long, but I realize God's doing the work. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm just part of it.
Well, this community definitely misses you because there's a lot of times I'm like, where's Gregg? Is Gregg going to be in town this week?
I'm going to be around more. So you'll never just not see me anymore.
Yeah. We're so thankful for the work you've done and the trail you blazed.
Yeah. I'm grateful for you guys.
It was a cool moment this morning. When I had to run to get gas, I forgot to get gas, and guess who I saw at the Wawa when I was walking out?
Who?
Tony.
Did you really?
Yeah. And I was like, wow, that is
that's crazy.
Weird.
Where's he at today?
He was excited. He was like, you guys got a big event today, don't you? I was like, yeah, man.
Looks like Andrew's back. He's managed to lose his shirt.
It's yeah. And
You're a stud muffin.
What's up with
Andrew,
you,
you
dude?
getting back in here?
No, he's gonna come sit on this side. Come over here.
Thanks, bro.
No, I'm good. Thanks for that. Andrew's gonna set up. How was the walk? Yeah. I looked up and everybody was gone. I was mad. I was like, I missed it. I think we sold some shirts. We
Yeah.
Oh, talk about what you've got over here. These donations, these
Dude,
sweatshirts.
it's almost all gone.
No, tell
Hey,
us,
Greg, what do we got left?
tell the people that are listening to this
What we got
happened?
left, Greg? Yeah. We got one box. So we had yesterday I go to a meeting that I haven't been to in about 2 years, and I ran into somebody that I hadn't seen in about a year. She comes up to me and says, "Are you still doing the houses?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Well, my ex-husband has a garage full of stuff that he wants to donate to somewhere." And I was like, "Well, why in the world, what is it?" And she said, "Well, we got like I think it was 90 jackets. I mean, not jackets, they're coats, they're winter coats.
Coats, sweatpants, sweatshirts.
Sweatpants, sweatshirts, all kinds of winter wear." And all I knew is I had to say yes. This program taught me to go pick the stuff up. So we went and picked it up, brought it here today. And I mean, we had so much stuff, I didn't know what to do with it. And is it the Crossings in Bradenton, the red shirts over
Yep.
there? They came over. I went and announced to them that we had a bunch of stuff that was there. Said, "Well, how much is this?" And we said, "No, it was donated for this whole cause here." And so everybody started, there's a line of people getting these jackets and coats and all kinds of stuff. So we just feel blessed to be able to be part of, being able to just be part of this, man. There's something in this that's bigger than what we know, really. And I know the boxes were full and we would have had a lot of work taking this stuff back. And now all the boxes are empty and we need to take the boxes to the dumpster. That's
Yep.
all we need to do. So,
Worked out perfect, man.
anyway.
We've asked this kind of before. We're I always struggle with this, trying to get guys thinking about getting clean, getting sober. What's some things that you would suggest for guys that are they're unsure whether they even need help? How do guys kind of an active addiction, active alcoholism, to know kind of or seeing the signs that they have a problem, they're going through the consequences? What would you suggest to him,
I don't know. I'd heard about the problem in me. Everybody looked at me, even partiers that I partied with, knew that I partied and drank different than me. It wasn't until my family and everybody, they had told me that I'd heard that maybe you drink differently. But then I was always the bad guy. I never had any rights. And it wasn't until my wife was like, "It's over," like I didn't have nowhere else to turn, I knew that I kind of knew in my heart that I needed to change for years, but it wasn't until I realized that everything that was the most important thing to me, which was my family, I had already burnt that relationship was being dissolved. And so that's when I turned to help, which was, 12-step program.
Yeah.
And being around other people who had been there and talked to them. That's where it began. Talk to people that have been there, and there's so many of us.
Yeah, I think that's
Andrew's got a story. He's been there,
yeah.
Joel, you, me, go to the meetings and if you act a little desperate about information in a 12-step program, no matter where you go, whether there's AA, NA or whatever, people are going to come out of the woodwork to help you. If you just or announce, "Hey man, I don't understand any of this shit. If you could help me, that'd be great."
Yeah.
That's the beginning start. It saved my life.
Yeah.
And that was the hardest thing for me to do because I didn't need no help, man.
Yeah.
I didn't have no problem.
That's a hard thing to do, is realize that you can't do it alone.
Right.
For me, I didn't know how to live life other than isolating when not, drinking or using.
Yeah.
What's up, Andrew? Welcome back, man. Thanks for the long walk. What do you think of the event so far? What's going on? It's good. It's like a ton of people out here. I got pictures of like us walking over the bridge, and there was just people further than you could see. Shoot over. It's good. I actually had first time I've ever actually had the police escort me not into jail. Yeah.
They leading the way for
They stopping traffic, like not
They
to like
rolled
pull
out
me out of a
red-
car or
rolled out
none
the
of
red
that.
carpet for you.
yeah, no paramedics, EMS showing up. Just it was good. Hot.
Yeah.
It is hot.
What's impressed you about this event so far? Just everyone coming together.
You know, what's funny is I look at like almost every single tent, and I know at least maybe one person
Yeah.
from every organization that's here. I think it's cool. It just shows that everyone here in the recovery community and the resources, like everyone showed up
Yeah.
and is here for those, looking to get help or looking for a way out or need assistance, need a hand up, getting their life back on track. And it's pretty cool to see.
And this has been kind of a goal for me, Paul and Andrew, is with Project Exodus is to unite all these, like if we really want to solve this issue and provide the support that's needed, we need an entire community to help these men and women out there.
I
So
heard it like to say like there's like you have rivals, right? So you own a New Life house, and then you have this other house and whatever. But the main goal I think everyone has is to try to help somebody out of active addiction, alcoholism. But I think there's like maybe almost like a disconnect. So I think that has been one of our goals, and Paul did a great job working with Tony to organize all this stuff. And I think that's our biggest goal is to like have everybody be able to join together to like pull all their resources to try and save a life,
This is us coming together and looking at ourselves and saying, we all are united. To me, I've always thought against rivalry in this, but the truth of the matter, we're all human. So, obviously that's just part of humanity. So this is a reminder that we are all together and we are united in this battle against addiction, man. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for other people that came before me and got clean and got sober. I wouldn't be here. I still wouldn't have answers that I need. And so this is a reminder, and myself too. Every tent that I went to, I've seen people that I know. And it's an amazing thing. My daughter was able to come. She's never really been part a lot. I mean, she's seen me change and been appreciative of everything that she's seen in her dad, when I got sober and quit drinking and stuff. But she was actually able to come out here and see all this. And then through that, she met somebody that she's seen somebody that she knew.
that's awesome.
I saw that.
Part of the rooms,
Yeah.
and also there's another woman talking about mothers and infants, and my daughter is huge, but so God brings connections and the conversations that we need when we need them.
Awesome, man.
We're just rolling till 4:00 in this deal.
I guess so.
This thing's crazy.
We just it's a wild. Greg was bringing up to his daughter. I met her for the first time. I think that was the first time I met her. And
Yeah.
She the one you sent me pictures of one time. She was in the mountains somewhere. Or the other
No,
one?
that's my youngest.
Okay.
That'd have been Erica. This is Ashley. Yeah, she's been. Yeah.
and Greg brought up. He was like, "Man, when Joel first came in, he couldn't even look you in the eye. Wouldn't even talk to you, nothing." And then
You couldn't, man.
it's like,
I remember.
we're almost 3 years later, and it's
Yeah.
And now I'm sitting here with a podcast and some other. It's like, what just happened, man?
Yeah.
It's wild. It's the evolution of
It's funny how
sober
God
mind,
works.
you know what I mean?
You think you've
Yeah.
got an idea of where you want to be, and then you just keep showing up, and then stuff just happens.
God's got a plan, man.
Yeah.
There's Andy over there. It's crazy. And you talk to people out there and they don't understand, like the community of recovery, like my home group that I haven't been to in probably 3 months here in Sarasota. And I've told people I could go there and probably name off 60 people
Yeah.
that I lived around for 10 years. So,
Yeah.
well, good, man. I'm going to get out of here.
Yeah.
And,
Are you leaving? Or?
no, I'm not leaving.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that need
I'm
it.
gonna check
Go
it.
recruit someone else that
There's
hasn't been over
people
here yet.
everywhere. I know who I wanted to bring over here. Did you guys bring the Narcan guy over here?
No. We'd love to talk.
I got to
to
go get him,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you, guys. Thank you,
Thank you.
Joel. Thank you, Andrew.
Thanks, bro.